up, guys? I'm James Baney, and I am here to give you a spoiler reaction to The Bad Batch Season 1, Episode 9. Today is a very special episode because I actually got the opportunity to see it early so that I could sit down and ask a question to Brad Rau, who's the supervising director and producer on the show, as well as Jennifer Corbett, who is the producer and head writer for the show, which was very awesome. And then a separate question and interview sit down with Ming-Na Wen, who obviously is the voice, the actress that brings the character Fennic Shand to life. Super awesome. I'm really excited for you guys to see that. And then after we watch the questions, I want you guys to, well, number one, give a like to this video really quick before we get started, and make sure you stick around after the interviews because I'm going to talk a little bit about the episode and my thoughts on it, and then I've got some questions for you guys at the end of the video. Hey, thanks for taking my question, Brad and Jennifer. I wanted to know, we've all been curious about whatever it is that makes Omega special, right? Curious now that this reveal has happened in the most recent episode that she is more of a daughter than a clone. I'd like to know more about your thoughts on changing the dynamic of the franchise as a whole now by giving Boba Fett a sister, and how you think that will play out in years to come.
Loaded question, James. Yeah, I mean, that's all very, very exciting. There's definitely mystery that we won't go into too much today, but we've just had a lot of fun playing the mystery up, to be honest, just to see that there's something to this kid. And you see something that makes me excited is when we can show this kid, whoever it is, wherever she's from, whatever her deal is, when you see her training alongside these other guys and failing, honestly, sometimes, and then seeing her overcome that, to me, that's the most exciting part of her character more than anything else. But there are other parts of her story to tell that we will be excited for you guys to see in the future.
And
Sure.
to add on that, there's a lot about, different people's agendas and what the Empire's interested in versus what the Kaminoans are interested in. And even along that, Nalase versus Lama Su. But when it comes to the Bad Batch, their take on Omega, pretty much they don't care what she is or what she isn't, which is what that sort of family dynamic is. While others may be interested in her for a different reason, they're just more about, she's one of us. We're a team unit, and we're going to train her as best we can. And this is our squad now.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking the question and taking time out of your day. It's an honor to speak with you.
Thank you.
When we all love seeing Star Wars connectivity, right? And seeing our favorite characters spaced over large timelines, but we know that there's a reason that those character stories unfold in the release order that they do. What do you think fans should take away from your character's role in the Bad Batch as we obviously head into the Book of Boba Fett?
Well, I mean, to really see, when we would see bounty hunters, most of them were either male or alien, nondescript in that way, and or in uniform. Or I think it's kind of cool to see sort of this young civilian female bounty hunter who's able to kind of keep up, if not be feared by the others, and making a mark for herself. I think it's a great role model in many ways, for women, even though she's an assassin. I know. Okay. That's a technicality. But, I love roles like that, where she's sort of an outsider and yet she makes up her own rules, and she doesn't, she believes in herself. She believes in what she's capable of doing, and she's fearless in pursuing her goals.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Great answer. Wow, that was awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad that I got that opportunity. Thank you, Disney and Lucasfilm, for making that event happen, that roundtable. There's a lot more where that came from. We actually sat down with multiple websites and podcasts and stuff, so all of that coverage is over on StarWarsNewsNet.com. The link is in the description. If you want to go check that out and see so much more that these people had to say. It was a great interview. Again, thank you. I'm really glad that I got to do that. They definitely touched on a lot of things that I wanted to get started when talking about in this particular episode, because this was another really great episode and obviously super revealing. That's why one of the questions I had to ask right away was like, what the heck have you done now that you've made Omega the sister of Boba Fett, you know, the daughter of Jango Fett kind of thing? Like you're playing into that. That's how we've always seen Boba. Now you're saying that there's another one. It really has these huge ramifications that is very exciting and really changes the dynamic of Omega. So I think the interesting thing here is how we've been speculating for so long what we thought, what is special about Omega. I think this might be the answer. It seems that Brad was hinting to there might be more, but I think that this is almost enough. This is the thing that in the Star Wars pantheon timeline, the legacy of a character or whatever, like I think saying, oh, who is Omega, why was she important? Well, she was the Omega to the Alpha clone, you know, and she's essentially kind of Jango Fett's daughter. Like I think there's a lot to that, and that's probably enough, but it's crazy to think that there might even be more to that story. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out in upcoming episodes. But I think, like, you know, that's enough to chew on for the time being, at least. That's a big deal, and I'm really excited about the way that they've opened that up. Another thing out of this episode that I thought was kind of some clarification. You know, they didn't outright say it, but everybody was really curious about the Boba Fett and Cad Bane fight. Like, will it happen now, especially that they're bringing in or they're talking about Boba Fett? But, you know, I think it was kind of uncovered in the artwork for the episode. I don't know if anybody saw that or not, but in this particular episode, they go out of their way to showcase that Cad Bane has like this thing in his head. So you have to assume, and I think it was already kind of assumed, that they were going off of, even though those were never released, they were kind of like, that happened in the story in our minds. It's just never been put on screen. So I think the Boba Fett Cad Bane thing has already happened because you have the metal plate or whatever that's on Cad Bane. So I think this episode is also interesting in the fact that, like, we were kind of thinking that might happen on screen. Are we going to see it? And this episode finally confirmed that it did happen. It is canon. And I guess we're not going to see it per se, but it did happen. So that's cool. Again, like, I really liked this episode. I think, like, not even so much like how we've been talking, like, oh, it moved the story along or whatever, or it has like really great cinematography. It did, and we'll actually talk about the fights here in a few minutes, but there were so many like big questions. Like, I love it when Star Wars really dives into those questions, and one of this was, you have Lama Su ordering, you know, that, you know, whenever we get Omega back, she's to be terminated. And that's not sitting well with Nala Se. So the thing is, like, you're starting to get into those deeper questions, like Blade Runner-esque, like, what is a clone? Is it a person? Does it have a soul? Like, is this the same as murder? Or is killing a clone or terminating a clone or something like that literally just destroying property or a product of a company, of a manufacturer, and it's not to be seen as like actual murder. It's just supposed to be seen as like, oh, we created a product and this person was never really living. It was just a functional organic droid. So disassembling a droid isn't really like, that's not like murdering somebody. I don't know. It's a deep question. It's something that we've probably contemplated before when it comes to cloning and all that stuff, but it's really nice to see that deep of a question in what I think generally people would consider to be a kid's show. So hats off to you. I love it. Now, I said I was going to talk about the fighting. I do got to say, I was very excited to see, Cad Bane return, obviously. He's in this episode. That's cool. And him doing his thing, that's great. Then kind of surprised that we see Fennic Shand pop up. Again, this is her opportunity to come back in. And this battle, the whole, the way that they're going at each other while Omega's making her way through the facility, and then she keeps running into them again. There's this very specific scene too where Cad Bane gets knocked off the side of the edge, and I'm I actually was very surprised that this was happening. I was oh my gosh, they brought him back to kill him. This is it. I just witnessed how he died, Fennic Shand didn't kill him. I'm pretty sure it was the fall that killed him. No, I'm just kidding. But no, he obviously saves himself. And I don't know. I was very pulled into the fights on this episode. So the action, the choreography that was designed in these battles, and how they kind of put together how they were going to take on each other. I really dug it. And was very enthralled in how is Omega going to get out of this, because numerous times in the episode I was thinking yeah, she's going to run around, but she's on this floating, thing. They're going to find her, she has no escape. And she fends for herself, man. She finds where to access the satellite dish on that menu too. If you transcribe the or translate the Arabesh, you can see, it says escape pods at one point, and that's on level 3. She reads that, she figures it out, she goes down. I don't know. I think she's definitely getting into her own and starting to prove that she was able to get herself out of that situation, and she did not require the Bad Batch to help her, which I thought was awesome. And that's kind of what I was asking for in episodes 2, 3, and 4. And by episode 9, she really is fending for herself. Not that she hasn't, in times shown her abilities, but I don't know. I just like seeing that growth there. 2 more things to talk about, and I don't even know how much you can talk about it. I'm literally I have no clue what the heck is going on. So we're on this planet. We're at this facility, and she stumbles across this room with the test tube in it, and I'm okay, what do I have to pull from? Is that Snoke, right? Because in recent years, that's the only test tube thing we've seen, other than my brain starts going to Mandalorian. We assume that whatever's in Mandalorian is Snoke because that's what we've seen, but it could be something different. Is this now one of those 2 things? Is this now a third thing? It's obviously very tied to the Kaminoans, and so I don't really know what's going on Bora Vio. So this is kind of interesting. Now, that being said too, we actually get to see this creature up close as the glass breaks and it falls over onto Fennic Shand. And, pausing the frame, taking a close look at this thing, I have no clue what that is, right? It doesn't look like Snoke. It doesn't look like a Kaminoan, It doesn't look like something, I don't know, that you would even really expect to be something that we've seen before. It honestly looks like the stereotypical gray alien. It just is this tall, kind of slender body with a big head, big eyes. I don't know. Whatever the heck that is, there's so many questions. I don't know. Maybe it's a new army. Maybe they're setting up something for one of these live action shows. Is well, we also know the Kaminoans were creating these other creatures, and they were an army, and now they're a threat, and we have to battle them off, and we have to end Kamino and all of that stuff. It's crazy the stuff they're working on. They're causing big problems for the Republic, and who knows, So I guess we'll figure that stuff out later. I don't know. We'll see. Glad to see that Omega makes it back with the Bad Batch, and that everything is okay there. It also is kind of interesting in this particular episode that Fennic Shand reveals that she has kind of been working for Nala Se, and how Nala Se is obviously more interested in protecting her at this point and saying, don't bring her back. because I know she's probably going to be killed. And I'm kind of curious how that storyline is going to play out. And it kind of bleeds into a little bit of like, is Fennic Shand a good character? Should we root for Fennic Shand? Is there a chance that she'll end up working with the Bad Batch? I proposed Cad would work with the Bad Batch last week. Now I'm starting to think maybe Fennec is with her in defending against, other outside, problematic people, I don't know, villains, whatever, who's out to get Omega, because now she's kind of being hired to also sort of protect that character. So I don't know. A crazy episode. Loved this episode. Thanks again to Brad, Jennifer, and Ming-Na. But stick around here. I got some questions for you guys. The first thing I want to know your opinions on is, now that we know what we know about Omega, that's it. Now that we know what we know, proceed. Like, do you think that she's still Force sensitive? Do you still think there's more to her story that's beyond just like her general like existence and story, like what happens? Do you think there's something that we don't know yet that is special about this character? Do you like the fact that they have officially made her what they've made her, I don't know. That's it. That's my thought. That's the first question. Please let me know what your thoughts on Omega are. The second thing is, I kind of told you maybe what I thought was going on with the test tube thing, but like, I'm probably wrong, and you guys always have really great ideas. What do you think is in that tube? What do you think is happening on Boravio? How do you think what we saw today plays into the bigger story? Maybe there's the chance that it's simply just, an example. She walks up, she touches it, she looks at herself, she sees herself in the tube. Maybe that's all that it's supposed to be. And the creature's just like, yeah, whatever. Just like they're messing with cloning and stuff. That stuff's crazy. Or do you think this is going to play out to be like a longer piece of a story? I don't know. And then as I was talking about Fennic Shand and Nala Se, their connection, I know you gotta think Fennic Shand is going to be in more of these episodes. Obviously, I did the interview with Ming-Na Wen. They wouldn't be bringing her back just for this one thing. But if Fennic Shand is coming back, then how does that play out with Nala Se? Because they're going to have to, I think, expose that she is trying to help Omega. I'm wondering if that means like banishment, or if they're gonna the Kaminoans are gonna have to like kill off that character or whatever. Like, I'm really interested to see how what they've just kind of unfolded is like a secret subplot of this character to keep Omega safe, hiring bounty hunters specifically to keep her away from all the research and murder. It's crazy. And how her emotional connection, which was actually called out by Lama Su in this episode, is going to play out. I don't know. I just think all that stuff's interesting, and I'd really like to know what you guys think. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for sticking it out, for hanging out with me this long. But so if you could just give a like to the video and subscribe. If you are not subscribed, you're going to be able to get notifications, if you ring the bell or whatever. Get notifications when new episodes are up. I try to do these as early as I can every single week. So, if you want to see my reactions to the Bad Batch episodes, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring the bell so you get the notification, and we kind of pop up. You'll get the notification. It'll just lead you right to the video. That being said, we do a lot more on our channel with Resistance broadcasts and just general Star Wars Newsnet coverage. So yeah, hang out, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next week, I'll see you.